these networks wouldn't exist without
Mhm.
their contribution. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have shows to make money off of if you didn't have writers and actors bringing it to life.
Just have to do it, hope for the best, and then
Yes.
leg it.
I completely understand the assignment, and I'm not concerned about it at all. And you say things like that in movies where you're like, why? Don't turn around and go back. But we are filming in an actual cave, and in the very back of the cave, there's actually a wall that just says "Turn back now" on it. And I was the first person in the crew to continue past that wall to see. So there's a good chance I would have never actually made it out of the cave, but.
Hello and welcome to Tom Meets Interesting People. This is the podcast where I'm undergoing an identity crisis. Because this isn't the podcast where I interview voice actors to nuclear engineers to SWAT team negotiators, but rather this is now the podcast where I will interview creative and performing artists to talk about what they do, how they do it, and why they do it. And before we move on, obviously, as you know, this is part of some of my experiments that I want to do as I'm trying to get a little bit more comfortable, trying to find a little bit more of a niche now, trying to niche down. But I also just want to take a moment and say thank you to every single person who has messaged me or liked or commented on August's video. At the time of recording this, it is the most downloaded episode I've ever had on all of my kind of podcasting platforms. So Red Circle was just like, oh my God. So uh, from the bottom of my heart to you wonderful people in the horror community who came to listen. Even though I'm not a part of you guys, you have shown me so much love. And I just want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you. And continuing on with the theme of horror, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest for you. Let me take a moment to introduce you to the wonderful Kris Bell.
Hello.
How are we doing, Kris?
Doing fantastic. How are you, Tom?
Not too bad, not too bad. As I was saying, I have found the entire horror community has just sort of come out the woodwork for me,
Oh, yeah.
and I've received so many wonderful messages and so many kind words said, and even though I don't know my saw from my final destination, it's just been so wonderful. But this one's about you, and I want to introduce you all to Kris Bell, who is a writer and director, and we're going to be talking about your film, which is currently in its fundraising stage, which is
Yes.
What Dwells Beneath. So let's kick off with it. Tell me about this film, and tell me why should someone go to the Indiegogo right now and back it.
Absolutely. So, What Dwells Beneath is actually a Lovecraftian inspired cosmic horror that follows a group of urban explorers, people that are fascinated by forgotten worlds and hidden places. They stumble upon an abandoned cave, and due to all of their curiosities, they unwittingly awaken an ancient evil that should have never been disturbed in the first place.
Why do we do this as humans? Why do we
Yeah.
just go about unearthing ancient evils? We see the signs. There's the cryptic signs there. We should
Oh,
pay
yeah.
heed.
It's and you say things like that in movies where you're like, why don't turn around and go back. But we are filming in an actual cave. This is an actual abandoned cave, the location that we're filming in. And in the very back of the cave, there's actually a wall that just says "Turn back now" on it. And I was the first person in the crew to continue past that wall to see. So there's a good chance I would have never actually made it out of the cave. But turns out there was just a lot of bat poop right beyond that wall.
Yes.
So
What compelled you to pass that sign?
there's just something that was like, if I don't, I'll never know.
So you're telling me you're the first person to die in a horror movie then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I would 100% be the first person that dies in the horror movie because my curiosity gets the best of me. It's a problem.
Yeah. It's normally a good trait to have though, isn't it? Normally a good trait.
I try.
Yeah.
So, for people to actually go to the Indiegogo and help contribute to this project would be huge for us. We're looking at a pretty modest goal of $5,000, and that helps us fund everyone in the cast, everyone in the crew, all the monsters, all the props, everything that we need. None of this is like going into my pocket or anything
Hmm.
like that. So, this helps with distribution. This helps us have a premiere, so your contributions really help. And I think we have some pretty cool perks up on the Indiegogo for people to pick up.
Oh, tell me about those perks, because like I saw one that was adopt a monster.
Yes, that's definitely been my favorite perk is the adopt a monster perk. So for just $500, you can symbolically adopt a monster into your home. Uh,
Nice.
Adopting one of these monsters will allow you to receive adoption paperwork for your monster. You will receive regular updates on the progress of your monster and how it's being put together, how it's coming to life. And after filming wraps, after the production wraps, you will receive a screen used piece of your monster.
Nice. That's pretty cool,
Yeah.
actually. That is one of the coolest perks I've ever heard of.
I
Um,
don't think anybody else is out there giving away monsters. So,
yeah, yeah. Like not even in D&D, it's still like D&D has monsters, but it's like, no, here's a monster book, but none of them are your monsters. But
exactly.
this is your own monster. I love that. Now, I'm really interested to learn kind of like I talked with August about this, and I've talked with Jonathan Perry about this as well, about filming on location.
Yes,
Um, I imagine filming in a cave, that's got its challenges.
very much so. So, it really depends completely on the weather outside too, which you wouldn't think would affect the cave. But if there's been a heavy rain outside, it's very humid in the cave. There's lots of moisture just hanging in the air, which affects the camera lens really bad sometimes. Trying to capture audio in these small cavernous areas where so much noise is bouncing off everything has definitely been a challenge. And you completely lose track of time in this cave.
Mhm.
Day and night are completely foreign concepts when you're inside the cave.
Well, because like how I'm trying to now comprehend, like, how does it like affect the cameras?
So basically, when you're looking through the camera lens, the lens will actually get fogged up sometimes due to all the moisture in the air, or
Okay.
you'll just kind of see so many particles floating in the air that it really takes you out of, because this is not going to be a found footage style film. This is going to be completely cinematic. So taking away from the real world feel of looking through the camera where you do see so many particles and bits and things like that. We want it to be on the more cinematic side of things.
Yeah, because like I obviously knew you'd have challenges being on location, but I didn't realize like the environment could literally play havoc with the equipment. Because I'm just like
Oh yeah.
I'm an amateur. Like I'm like I have my phone over here doing one angle, hello, second angle, and I've got my webcam on the other one. That's it. This is as technical as I get. And now you're telling me like just randomly the camera will just steam up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah. And then, you got to keep that gate clean. You got to keep the lens wiped off and everything. And it's definitely been a challenge, but I've got one of the best crews around working on this project. And I have no doubt that, we'll be able to pull it off.
Hmm. Yeah, because I do get that sense that you absolutely love your crew.
Oh, I do.
Tell me about them and tell me how they like sort of like rose to this challenge of filming in a cave, which is already scary, with a sign that says "Don't go any further."
So I have my assistant director who will be Mr. Tyler Broadway, who I've worked with on screen in a lot of projects, but he and I are kind of taking the step behind the camera this time. And
Mhm,
since I will be playing one of the characters in the film myself, anytime that I'm on film, I can trust Tyler behind the camera to kind of keep the vision in the wheelhouse that we've discussed, and I know I can trust him with that. I have my director of photography, David Cunningham, who I have filmed literally basically all of my stuff with. David and I have been doing things for a few years now. This is just our first large feature kind of deal, micro feature, however you want to
Hmm.
bill it. Brian Machow, who is our sound engineer, is a brilliant sound technician. He is so professional on set. He knows lighting and sound, and I really couldn't figure out all of the sound problems without him. We have Cody and Kayla Epling, who are a cosplay duo couple here in Knoxville. They're helping build some of the larger monsters and bigger moving things. And then I have my friend Brandon Hill, who works with the Grotto, which is in Tennessee also. He's helping build some of the monsters as well, some of the smaller props, some of the rock props, and things like that. And let's see, I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. We've kept a pretty small crew. We have
Hmm.
some other people that we're bringing in to kind of assist and help with things, but those are the main crew there.
Hmm. I kind of imagine you need to almost in that environment try and keep the crew as small as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Because the more people you have on set, the more noise you have, the more just because even in the cave, you can be 40 feet away from everyone having a conversation and it just carries
Yeah.
throughout the halls. And so the smaller the crew, the better, definitely. And because that this location is an abandoned cave, it was actually a tourist attraction in 1912 that has been shut down and completely abandoned. So we've run into the thing where we don't there's it's not like a no trespassing kind of place. There's no signs or private property or anything like that, but we still don't know who owns it. We don't actually know who we should contact about saying, "Hey, we're going to be filming a movie here." So another big kind of challenge that hangs over my head is at any point in time, I'm afraid someone might just show up and be like, "Hey, you can't film this here."
Yeah. Like, I have something that I find really fascinating. August mentioned it, and Jonathan Perry mentioned it as well. It's that guerrilla style of filmmaking where, like, you almost just have to do it, hope for the best, and then
Yes,
leg it.
absolutely.
Is that something you enjoy doing, or is that something you'll be like, I hope I never do this again?
No, it's I completely understand the assignment and I'm not concerned about it at all. I think we're gonna have a really good run with this. I don't think we're gonna have any hiccups. Honestly, I think that and that's the reason I want to keep the crew small. We're doing this whole thing in 3 days. We're filming the full production in cramming it into a 3 day shoot, a consecutive 3 days. And I know that's going to be hard on my cast and crew, but I realistically think that's the only way we're going to get it done.
I mean, like, and like you said, like, you could probably use location and probably not, and maybe I'll wait until after you've done this to release this episode, just,
Right?
just so I don't accidentally incriminate you in anything. Uh,
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't. It's okay. I didn't see any signs anywhere, so we're fine.
yeah, yep, there's no signs.
Yeah, no
I've
signs.
also used
So
that to get off a parking fine once.
exactly, there was no signs.
Yeah,
So what are you gonna do?
yeah. Now, I'm also interested. You mentioned, and something else I find quite fascinating, and this comes from my love of sci-fi, my love of Star Trek, and trust me, this is related. Where I'd
Yes.
see, particularly in long-running shows, members of the cast would jump behind the camera for occasional episodes, like sort of LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, and Jonathan Frakes all step behind the camera in Next Generation. So tell me about that. How do you run the show and are part of the show?
So that very much comes from having the support system of my crew, who I know I can trust. Um, Basically, I feel like I can completely devote myself to the character and to the scenes when I'm on camera. And
Mhm.
I don't have to be also consciously thinking while I'm in the scene, okay, what does this camera angle look like? Does the lighting look good over here? I can just solely focus on the scene because I have such a great AD like Tyler.
Yeah.
And then when I'm not on camera and am able to kind of orchestrate the scenes myself, there's no ego there. There's no uh, conflict of, well, I would have done it better. Why does he have to do everything too? We're all just here to create one great product. So if one of us can't be there doing it at the moment, someone else can pick up the slack. And
Mhm,
I think that's a winning combination of things.
mhm. I think something I'm also getting from your answer and from everyone else's answers, sort of like along those questions, is it's all about trust, isn't it? Trusting in your crew.
Yes, huge trust. If you don't have faith in your crew, if you don't have trust in the people that you're working with, why are you doing? I guess trust has to be built sometimes, but that's why I choose to surround myself with people that I enjoy working with. It's people that I know are here to work hard. It's people that I know are talented and people that I know I can trust. So those are three big things, professionalism, talent, and trust are huge things to
Yeah.
build a community.
They are. They are. Um, I kind of want to now know about like the inspirations behind this. I'm sort of like cognitive or cognizant rather, I should say. I'm cognizant of like H.P. Lovecraft, and I know you cited that as one of your sources. Um,
Yes.
s- so tell me about your inspirations. Tell me about like kind of what are the pieces of media that just made you say, I want to make this about these urban explorers and throw them into this particular environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I've always loved horror. I've always loved monster movies. Those are my absolute favorites. I've always wanted to make my own monster movie. So growing up, I've always really liked the more, I guess I the best way to put it would be the cosmic horrors, things that aren't from this world.
Hmm.
I love things and the stories and things like stories from the Witch House, things like that from Lovecraft that are so wildly out there and just so many beings from different areas of time and space. And so when I saw my fiance and I are actually very big into looking at urban explorations and finding
Hmm.
abandoned places around that we can go explore ourselves. And so the first time I saw even the front opening of this cave when we got to it, just it left me in awe because it looks like something out of Lord of the Rings. I mean, it is just this picturesque scene into the front of this cave, and I told myself then and there, I got to do something here. Something
Hmm.
has to happen here. And the more time I've spent in that cave, the more inspiration I've drawn from just how people could see cave monsters in a cave.
Hmm.
How the mythos of monsters was even brought from a cave, because it's very easy to become disoriented, to hear different noises coming from all over the place, to see different shapes and the shadows. And I really want to play off of that claustrophobic fear that
Hmm.
people draw from in areas like that.
Because I'm now just picturing that in my head, and I'm thinking something else that goes really well with that is like in that situation, you kind of are also hypersensitive to everything. Like you're just
Yes.
aware of every single little drop of water and every single kind of
Yes.
every single movement. So is that something you want to play with?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because like you said, even a little drop of water from
Hmm.
way over here, you hear it so magnified, and it sounds when multiple drips are going, it just sounds like people are talking, 5 feet away from you, and you want to play off of the you know the scares of seeing a shadow move and not being sure, is that a cave wall, is that a creature, is that something that lives here, or is that just a rock formation, you know
Yeah.
because to me, being in a space like a cave where you're completely dependent on a little headlamp basically to see everything, is equivalent to me to being under the ocean.
Yeah,
Those are places we don't belong.
yeah, yeah.
And and you immediately go to the bottom of the food chain in those places. So it's definitely I can just imagine being because the cave itself goes back almost a mile and a half.
Wow.
So I can just imagine being halfway through there and the light going out and
Yeah,
you being completely reliant on your senses to get back. You wouldn't make it back.
yeah, yeah. Um, oh goodness, I feel like I should now put a disclaimer in the video at this moment. Please don't go exploring dark caves unless you actually know what you're doing and with trained professionals.
Yes, we do have professionals on site, safety coordinators, and all of that. So, yes, please do not just go diving into caves and things thinking, well, the guy at the movie said I could do it.
Yeah, if the guy that maybe said you could do it, I mean, like, you can do it, right?
Yeah, what dwells beneath is a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Oh god, am I going to be implicated in this lawsuit as well?
You are technically a party in it now. So
Oh god, I have to get my lawyers ready.
that's right.
So I'm now really kind of interested in sort of why urban exploration, why that particular sort of niche, that particular activity.
I enjoy watching urban explorers, especially the ones that go to what they consider time capsules, where like it looks like someone just picked up their whole lives one day and then left everything in the home. And the home has now become this dilapidated, nature filled, picturesque scene. And they go in, they don't vandalize anything. They don't, they're just there to learn the history of what this place was. And
Hmm.
there's actually a very specific team that I watch named Sam and Jess Explore. They are actually UK based explorers, and they go to a lot of places around the UK, to Belgium, to Germany, to Austria, and Peru, and things like that. And they look at a lot of these old. I love the countryside in the UK. I think
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. I think you
yeah.
all have gorgeous cottage core aesthetic out there, and just I always think in my head like some of the places that they've gone, I'm like, and this is the last time we see Sam and Jess because this place is you have no business going into this place that you're going into. And so that definitely sparked interest in me wanting to play with the idea of the urban exploration team.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, like, as someone who lives in the UK, we've got some nice bits.
Oh yeah.
We've got bits that are complete shitholes. Uh, we're not all complete kind of it's not all picturesque. I mean, if you go down to the Cotswolds, it's quite nice down there,
Oh yeah.
if you can afford it. Uh, but yeah, there is, like because, particularly if you look at kind of like a lot of our myths and our legends, and obviously I'm bastardizing some history here, but like a lot of our myths and our legends come from sort of like paganism in the UK or and sort of like up
Yes.
towards Scotland and I believe Scandinavia as well. And a lot of those stories that we tell like sort of our children, like those kind of horror stories that start off as like nursery rhymes and then they go to like kind of like fables and a little bit further on. They are that cottage in the middle of the forest where the witch and or evil spellcaster and or um sentient thing is
Yeah.
living.
It's the perfect setting for all
Yeah.
of that. You just
Yeah, yeah, because I find I'm definitely finding urban exploration to be like, as I see them on YouTube, it's fascinating,
yes.
and it's like I have this I've often asked on a few of them, few of the videos, it's like, well, why can't people go in to those places and make them usable again?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think some of it is it's just so far gone. It would cost,
Hmm.
and I wonder that about this cave too, though. Like for all intents and purposes, it's a usable tourist cave still. it has paths carved out all through it where you can tell they had walking paths, and even electricity and stuff is set up in there, but none of it works anymore. All of the plugs are like rotten and laying on the ground. And it's just, it's so odd to see something that was once this large, bustling thing to just be totally abandoned. There's also a visitor center that's right outside the cave where, because this was like a whole day thing. Like you know, people would bring the kids out and they'd go to, Cave World or whatever this was at the time. And all of that is still standing. All of the visitor centers still there. Some of the little outdoor attractions are still there. And then you get to the mouth of the cave and it's breathtaking.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's go back to your inspirations now as well. And I'm kind of curious because from the filmmakers I've talked to and those who are working in the film, um, it's almost always seems to be a kind of like you make a choice when you are a young child and you're like, I want to make film. Do you fit into that category?
I think so. Um, Acting and filmmaking are two things that I've always loved to do. Entertainment of any kind is something that I'm very passionate about. I love just creating and having a space and a platform to create now. Um, even, as a young kid, I always wanted to be up on stage doing something, or when I got into like middle school, high school, me and my friends would make stupid little home movies and stuff like that we thought were hilarious. And just moving through it, I've now built up such a friend group and community of such talented individuals that I've finally really been able to bring things to fruition and, make some of these dreams and, ideas come to life.
Let's also talk about your inspirations again as well. And I will be doing everyone a bit of a disservice. Obviously, we're going to have to describe this for the audio listeners, but those who are watching on YouTube, um, let me put you in solo view. Your background. Oh my God, you have
Yes.
everything. Um, Tell me about all of this. I imagine you love every
Yes.
single thing that's behind you.
Oh yeah, and as a matter of fact, this you can't see it on the other side of the camera, but I have an entire shelf wall of other decorum and things like that. So my set will actually change from time to time to kind of fit maybe the aesthetic of the movie I'm talking about. But these old like universal monster statues that I have back here, I've had these since I was a child. These were my Halloween decorations when I was a kid. um, Godzilla over here has also been a big
Yeah.
a big uh, influence in my life. I've always loved horror. This is my little guy Roswell back here. Roswell is my emotional support alien. We go everywhere together after rescuing him from Area 51. um, yeah, I love surrounding myself with the things that I love most.
Yeah. Did he come from the raid that we had a few years ago, or was that did he arrive earlier?
Actually, I rescued Roswell, and you can go on my Facebook all the way back and look at the date that I rescued Roswell from Area 51, and it was at least a year before anybody was talking about storming Area 51. And that was okay. You don't announce to the world that you're going to go in. You just go in, you get your dude, and you get back out. That's covert mission.
Yeah, exactly. Like, get it right, people. Get it absolutely
Yeah.
right. Uh,
Okay. 100% right. You're making the rest of us look like amateurs.
At the time of recording right now, the SAG actor strike and writer strike is currently happening.
Correct.
Now, obviously, it's what's happening in the UK is very different to what's happening over in the States. So, are
Yes.
you happy to share your perspective?
Absolutely. I think that a lot of these people are 100% rooted in where they need to be. I'm glad to see people taking a stand for, because I hear people say things like, "Oh, well, they should have had better contracts. They should have had better this." But people didn't know streaming was going to be a thing. when these shows were written, when these actors were giving their likeness, to these projects. And as a non-union, because we're a non-union project, we're still very much an independent project. And I think it was Mark Ruffalo who put up a whole thing about encouraging uh, actors, these SAG actors, to go work with these independent producers, to work with indie horror studios, or independent studios and independent filmmakers, and give these big studios someone to compete with. Show
Yeah.
them that there is competition out there, and you're not who runs the world. And I really love that. And just to speak on that, Mark Ruffalo, if you are serious about that, I can barely afford to pay you, but I would love to make a movie.
Mark Ruffalo would be the best, though.
Yeah.
Like
He,
seriously, he would
he
he would just dive into it. He would love it.
and that's the thing, is I really think he would do it. I
Mhm.
really think he would be one that would do it. But I stand with these actors and writers. I think, the IP that you've put into things, the characters that you've created, and the shows that you've created, these networks wouldn't exist without
Mhm.
their contribution. You wouldn't
Yeah,
have shows to make money off of if you didn't have writers and actors bringing it to life.
yeah, yeah. I remember seeing a TikTok from Adam. I can't remember his last name, so
Oh
you're gonna
yeah,
have to
yeah, yeah.
forgive me. But he's famous for doing the Adam ruins everything.
Adam ruins everything. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember his last name, so I do apologize. I have to Google it, and I'll tag him in below. I'm going to tag Mark Ruffalo and Adam ruins everything in both of these now.
Yes, please do.
Pay attention to my podcast.
Yeah,
But
help us
he
make a
talked
movie.
about, yeah, help us make a movie. Let's make a movie. But he talked about how like sort of writing went from being something that could be a reasonable career for someone to take if they had talent to being gig work
Right.
that you do
And
every
it
now and
is.
again. Yeah, and how do we fix that? Can we fix that?
So I I think there is a way to fix that. I think that there is better wages and better contracts that can be redrawn for
Mhm.
these actors, these writers, to where everyone feels like they're making, because people work their whole lives for retirement. You work at a
Yeah,
company your whole life to build up retirement. Well, what if your retirement fund was your IP that you've put into all these shows that you've written? And now all of a sudden you're getting 60 cents in royalties. It's not feasible to be able to do that.
yeah,
Back in the golden age of Hollywood, you hear where people were living in New York for in a one bedroom apartment, and they didn't have a job, and they just lived in this little studio apartment writing away scripts, and they were able to afford to do that as a struggling actor at the time, or a struggling writer at the time, which is not a feasible thing to do now. You can't,
mhm,
you're not going to find a one bedroom apartment in New York City, in the Village, where it's tons of creative people around you, and you have the freedom to sit and create. I mean, can you imagine how many pieces of media wouldn't exist if those
yeah,
people weren't given that time to be able to do that? And what we're missing out on now, because we stifle so much creativity with the great almighty dollar.
yeah,
These corporations get so greedy that I think we're really screwing ourselves out of some some of the best media that we could have.
yeah, yeah. I'm totally with you there, and I do hope that the executives um, just listen.
Yeah,
Like they're using first-party companies right now to negotiate, and it's like, no, you're meant to negotiate directly with the union. You're not
exactly.
meant to. Yeah, it's like me doing this interview, and then I bring in ChatGPT to write the questions for me, and
Right.
then I mean AI can be a very useful tool if used correctly to get rid of lots of heavy
Absolutely.
admin work,
Absolutely.
particularly in my world, in the world of teaching. Like there's so much busy work you have to do that
Sure.
like I can deal with that. That's a good use of it. But like it's like me just saying, okay, you know what? ChatGPT is going to write this entire interview. ChatGPT is going to read the questions to you.
Hmm.
I'm just going to press publish, and I take all the credit for that.
Right.
And it's like, yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, all that money coming in. I'm studio executive. I'm very, very wealthy. And then you're there like, but I was the one who provided the voice.
But I talk, and they're like, "Yeah, well, we paid you your $150 for your face and your voice that one time, even though we've
Yeah.
continued to use it extensively."
And background actors as well, they're being replaced by AI, scanned in. And I'm just like, but background actors are so cool. They have the best time ever.
I think about, the people too that say, "Oh, AI is so great, and who cares if your face is being used?" It's like, well, what if one day you signed up for an app and you gave it permission to use your likeness and you took a picture of yourself, and then all of the sudden you see yourself in the background of some movie, or you see yourself in some game. They're using your likeness, your face, your voice and everything, and you get nothing off of it. But because you
Yeah.
agreed to whatever this was to let them use that of yours, you got no ground to stand on. Like, I bet you wouldn't think it was so great.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Um, studio executives, just like listen to this indie podcaster and just
Yeah,
negotiate and negotiate something fair. Like
something
that's
fair to
all
these
they're
people.
asking. Yeah.
Just a fair shake.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for your time today and helping me
Yeah.
like kind of work out like sort of changes to my format. I really appreciate this because I know sometimes it can be a case of like, oh my god, he's changing the format. Is this even going to work? And it's kind of
No,
working, I think.
I'm here for whatever.
Obviously, there's lots of changes to the format happening over these next few weeks and whatnot. But one thing that I do not want to change that I absolutely love ending every single interview with is my questionnaire.
Let's
So
do
these questions
it.
always close us out, and they come from the Proust questionnaire, which were later adapted by Bernard Pivot, later by the late great James Lipton, who is my just inspiration alongside Terry Gross and Michael Parkinson. And now I present my oh my god, there's something behind you adaptation to you.
You got me. Look at you.
I got you. Yeah, that's my best one yet. Question one.
Yes.
I am mature. I am very mature. I am 30 years old. I am mature.
100%.
Yes, serious, serious. Mhm. Okay, question one. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word. Mm. Think my absolute favorite word is flabbergasted. I
Flabbergasted. Tell me
love
about flabbergasted.
so flabbergasted is just a all-encompassing word for anger and frustration and annoyance and surprise and disbelief, and it all fits so well together in one fun word that just flabbergasted. It
Yeah.
really
It's
jumps.
got that Dr. Seuss effect, hasn't it? It's like kind of
It
like
does. I
just
like that.
yeah.
It's got a very Seussical rhythm to it.
Mhm. I
Yes,
love
I
that.
love that.
All right. The opposite question is what is your least favorite word?
Mm. Mm. My least favorite word. My least favorite word is probably can't.
Mhm.
And not because of any grammatical blah blah, but can't is just there is no can't. There is no cannot. There is none of that. You need to figure it out. There's there's always an
Yeah.
excuse as to why you can't do something. Find the reason why you can't do it.
Mhm. That was interesting. You're not the first person to say that.
Really.
Yeah. It has been said at least, I'm pretty sure. I need to go through the stats again. I need to make a post about this. I'm pretty
Yes.
sure it's been said at least twice in these interviews. We're in their 30s of these interviews now. We're in the 30s. And yeah, I'm pretty sure at least
Yes.
twice two people have said can't. And for the same reasons, find a way.
Hmm. Just find a way to do it.
Find a way. Question three. What engages you?
What engages me? I love meeting new people and discussing creative works, and meeting people that enjoy the things that I put out and the work that I do, and especially anytime I get to do live stage things. I love engaging with the audience and the fan base that comes, and all the just seeing all the love and people having a good time, and the energy in the room is
Yeah.
just, I love it. That's
Yeah.
definitely what engages me the most.
Yeah. A good aligned vampire is what I like to think of them as. Like,
Absolutely.
feed off the positive energy and then create more
Yes,
positive stuff with that energy. Um,
exactly.
I'm pretty
Like a
certain it
positive energy vampire.
yeah, which would be wonderful. Um, Question number 4, what disengages you?
Really, just sour attitudes. I hate pity parties and uh oh woe is me, and things like, i- when you're in a situation that you really could work yourself through, and people are telling you like, hey, here's how you could get through this, here's some creative solutions to get through this, and you just don't want to hear any of it. You're just, wow, wow. I Those types of attitudes very
Yeah,
much disengage me. I don't have time for that.
yeah, yeah. Totally agree on that. Question 5, what sound or noise do you love?
Sound that I really love. It's gonna sound really stupid, but Jack Black's voice, anything that gentleman has to say, sing, or
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
is
yeah,
just one of my favorite noises in the world.
yeah, yeah. We stand Jack Black over here. I need to get a shrine
Yes.
for him, like right here. I've got a spare cube I can use. It's
Just
just a
you can
shrine
go
for
right
Jack
here.
Black. That's the first person I'm going to tag into this episode. Uh,
Yes, please.
let's see if there's a reply. I hope they reply. I do
I
hope they
really
reply.
hope they do.
Just,
I do too.
just little guys, just little guys.
Yeah, just
Um, Question 6. What sound or noise do you hate?
it is like, I don't know, there's I don't know, it's almost like fart bubbles in mud, but there's something about the noise that's just like,
What when you're
I
walking
just
along like in a muddy field and
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's something where you can hear like bubbles and stuff popping up out of the mud that I don't love
yeah,
that noise.
yeah, no, I agreed. Question 7. That's everyone's favorite, and it's mine too. What is your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word.
Your favorite curse word.
Mm,
There'll be no bleep. Just say it.
Perfect. Oh, it has to be goddamn. Oh,
Goddamn.
I say it with such ferocity. It's just, oh goddamn, goddamn. Yeah, 100%. One of my favorite curse words is just goddamn.
Sweet, sweet. Question 8. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Think I would really love. I think I would really enjoy teaching, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
people how to do certain things. I think, not children. I don't like kids, so I don't want to teach kids. But if there was like an adult master class that someone wanted to take, I think
As someone who
I
teaches kids for a living, I need to stay quiet now.
yeah, that's right. You don't get to have an input on this one. Oh yeah, I think teaching adults things, I could do.
Yeah. No, no. It's a good area to work in as well, and it's one I've considered. And yeah, because education doesn't stop when you leave school. You
Yeah,
just pick the things you're interested in nowadays. And
right.
what would you teach?
What would I teach? I think I would teach, oh man, just almost like, I would really like to do, I don't know if it's even a field of study. I'm sure it is, but basically mythoses and legends and cryptids
Hmm.
and urban legends and things like that, where they come from, and the monsters and all different areas that have similar monster stories, but they're still different. They're specific
Yeah.
to the area, even if they have the same backstory. I think I would really like teaching people about that.
That'd be a cool subject. That'd be a cool subject to teach. I'm pretty sure it is a subject,
I,
but
I
my
feel like
knowledge
it is.
obviously escapes me. Yeah, it feels like it should be. Question 9. What profession would you not like to do?
Mm, I don't think I would want to be a police officer
Yeah.
or the president. I don't think I
Mm,
would want anything to do with being president. You just get blamed for everything.
mhm.
Like, it doesn't matter. And this is not, I am not talking about anyone specifically. Oh my God. This is not a political state, just a general point of view that habitually since the first president, it's just like we give all of us one person to be
Yeah,
mad at. Like, we need to
yeah,
blame someone for this, and you're it.
yeah, yeah. Um, I'm not gonna tag Joe Biden. Um,
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe, you're getting blamed for
Just,
everything.
yeah, all the time.
All right, final question. If you could say only one statement to any one person, what would that statement be, and who would that person be?
If I could say a statement to anyone, it would definitely be um, don't be afraid to shoot your shot. Don't be afraid to make your own way. Just ask. Just put it out
Yeah.
there. Who cares what people are going to think about it? Who cares what the higher ups are going to think of you? Prove why you deserve to be up there with them. Show your worth. Make your own lane. Just put it out there. Don't worry about what other people are going to think.
Hmm. Yep. I think that's good advice. Remind me, where can we find the Indiegogo and where can we find your social media?
Yes. So if you just go to Indiegogo and type in what dwells beneath, it should take you right to our Indiegogo campaign, or you can follow us on Facebook at What Dwells Beneath Film. It all right there together. I post all of our updates to our Facebook page as the progression goes along. I think we are 17% funded on the Indiegogo, and we have 51 days left as of today while we're recording this.
Nice. I do sincerely hope you make the target. Like genuinely from the bottom of my heart. I really
Thank
do
you
hope
so
you make it.
much.
And yeah, I'll be throwing in a little bit as well
Oh
after
my God.
this.
Thank you,
So
Tom. That's
yeah, you'll find something a little bit afterwards. You'll find a tiny little thing from me. So there's that. Yay! Uh,
yay.
and of course, don't forget you can also follow this show on all of the social medias too.
Yes.
I'm at Tom Meets People. I'm at Tom Meets People on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, on all of them. Can I get the screen to work? Yes, it does.
Yes, you did.
Please follow us on there. And if you like what you see, please subscribe on whatever app you're on. If you're on YouTube, click underneath and you'll be able to watch yet another episode with my horrible, horrible voice. Until then, everyone, take care and goodbye.